Welcome to Culmination, where we're not experts, but we sure have a lot to say. In the process of becoming our best self, I have with me the aspiring graphic designer Max Francisco to discuss good habits. And with that said, let's get started. So, Max, what is a habit exactly?
Well, I guess a habit can be good or bad, but it's just anything that you find yourself doing on a routine.
So, like, consistent person?
Yeah, to a degree, something that's consistent in your life.
Okay. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to start off with the obvious, like, like let's break this down first.
Yeah.
Um, so we obviously have many habits in our lives, good or bad, or just neutral, I guess. But how do we set them exactly? How do we set a habit?
Well, I think habits can you can set habits in like a number of ways. Sometimes it's just like on accident, something just you start doing it and then you keep doing it.
Hmm.
Or sometimes it's something that you personally feel motivated that you want to do, and then you just have to have like the motivation to do that thing consistently.
Hmm. So it's like necessity and just overall priority, maybe even want or drive.
Yeah.
I guess the thing I want to get at in this video is obviously there's a lot of things we would want to do, like like these ambitions or something like I want to learn guitar today.
Yeah.
uh, but how do we exactly it's hard to do that, like in experience and execution. It's like we want to do a lot of things, but what's exactly stopping us from doing it?
Yeah. That's a tough question. I feel like if you want to keep something or keep a habit going for a long time, you have to be intrinsically motivated. It can't be just someone else telling you to do something. Feel like
Hmm.
you deep down you have to want to do whatever that habit you want to form is.
Is it simply just a want though?
Or it could be, I think, just feeling in yourself that doing this could help improve your life, that
Mm.
keeping this habit going could be good for you now or in the future.
Hmm. And is there a way to like find the discipline for that, or do you think it comes naturally if you have that priority?
I think some people, like, they're gifted enough to have that intrinsic motivation to keep a habit going. But
Mhm.
also, I feel like there are some external factors that you might need to help you give that extra push. Like, for me, I think having a partner really helps with keeping a habit consistent, like having a study buddy or a workout buddy. Like,
Mm.
I usually work out with my mom or like my sister, and I feel like that just keeps me motivated in the long term. Just having someone else that's like they check on you and then you check on them. It's kind of like a back and forth where you keep each other motivated.
Like the accountability.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be kind of like a good recommendation for somebody like trying to start something?
Yeah, for sure. I think it doesn't have to be like exactly the same, but if you have a friend or a family member who's like keeping another similar habit going, I think trying to join them or do things together with them that will like help you build that habit. I think having a buddy really helps.
Mm. What about other like external things that can help keep you in line, keep you to it?
I think your environment matters a lot. Like especially during the start of COVID, we spending a lot of time indoors. It can kind of like mess with your habits because maybe you're not able to like go outside to
Mhm.
do like the same things that you were doing beforehand. So I think being mindful of your environment is really important. Like during the last school year, I was virtual, so I was
Uh-huh.
spending a lot of my time during class just in my room, and I found that like near like the second half of the year, I was starting to lose my motivation to really be attentive in class.
Mhm.
So I decided to move to the living room for class, and I felt like having that change of environment where I'm not just like in the same room where I sleep and play video games, having like a different environment where I can do that like things that are specifically just for work and school. I felt like that helped just having a different place versus where you would be like comfortable, quote unquote.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really good point. I've forgot what it is. I almost want to say like Confucius or something like that. Like one of those great people said that like your environment impacts how you kind of like respond to something, I guess. Like that idea where you should be doing work in your office and not in the same room that you like relax or something, you know?
Yeah. I think it's like
Almost like feng
it's
shui
kind of
or
like with
something.
dogs, they don't like to like poo where they sleep. I feel like I don't know if
But to be
that's
fair, I
exactly
don't
the
like to
same.
poo where I sleep.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, I just think the environment's a really important thing with just um how how you respond to your environment also.
Mhm.
I think another like the last factor I have is that I think it's important to keep things interesting and not to do the exact same thing if you're having trouble keeping a habit going. Like for example, with working out, um, I try not to do like the exact same thing every time. So like sometimes I'll do like lifting, or sometimes I'll go running, or sometimes I'll go biking. And I feel like
Mhm.
having different things each time helps keep it interesting for you
Yeah.
instead of just having the exact same thing in a routine.
What's your usual like regimen for
I
working
think,
out?
well, I don't really have like a strict regimen, but I do like, yeah, like calisthenics, like pull ups and stuff, or like
Mhm.
skateboarding or running. And I like to just like cycle between those, like generally.
Mhm, just to kinda keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point because I feel like a lot of the time, like, if you have it's kinda like this, like, if you have all motivation but no discipline, nothing happens, nothing gets done, but if you have all discipline and no motivation, it's just like you just kinda feel like a slave at that point,
Yeah.
you're just chained down to something, pushing blocks, and it takes all your energy, and it's like, well, what's the point, you know?
Yeah. It's true.
So, how can we find the balance, I guess?
Oh man. I think discipline, I think can come, that comes naturally when you're just doing things that you don't necessarily want to do. Like
Hmm,
school, for example, like like going throughout the year, you start to build that discipline just naturally through like your work and stuff. And I think,
mhm, just, like, the constant reinforcements and everything.
yeah. And then motivation, that kind of comes from doing that habit, but then trying to find something that you enjoy with that habit or finding a way to enjoy like maintaining that habit. So I think the discipline comes from like doing something continuously, and then the motivation comes from your like emotional response to what you're doing.
Hmm, I mean, it all makes sense to me, but I don't know. I don't know if it's all exactly black and white like that because I know a lot of people who, like with school again, they get into the groove where it's like, okay, you can't stay up late because you're gonna die the next day, like waking up at 6 or something. Like it's just so early. So obviously you start to adapt to your environment. I would think it's more adaptation. But they don't always necessarily find discipline. You get what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I think I get what you mean. Like when you're just, oh, I'm gonna keep doing this, but I don't want to. Kind of like
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, like, like everybody has to get their homework done. And let's assume it's like a student who's not exactly a slacker. Like he doesn't just like turn in his assignments late. Like he gets it in on time, but you know, I I don't know, isn't discipline where you keep everything organized and you keep doing it consistently instead of like maybe procrastinating? Like, would you say that's exactly discipline even though it's consistent when somebody stays up till like or like starts the assignment at 11:59 at night when the thing's due at midnight?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of me. I wouldn't call myself disciplined.
Well, I don't know because it is consistent at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So what is discipline, I guess?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
maybe
pounding you.
discipline. Um, maybe discipline is like being able to put in all your effort into something rather than doing the bare minimum. Like,
Mm.
um, doing like whatever task you want to do, but doing it to your best rather than just doing it for the sake of doing
Not all about the money, Spider-Man.
it.
Well, I mean, sometimes it is. Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of bringing it back. You know, it's kind of like work and everything. Um, or like you could think about work where like why do you get a job? You get a job because of necessity. Like you need money and because you need money to like pay for things. You need to, you
Yeah.
need to put bread on the table. You need to
Yeah.
keep the missus happy. Um, Although, I mean, even though that's kind of the main incentive of having a job, like theoretically, if we didn't need to work and we could still have a sustainable or hell better life, then like why bother, you know? Um, but I mean, there are some like intrinsic values to work too, right? Like there's the idea of a dream job
Yeah.
or just
And I
doing
think
something you enjoy.
yeah, and I think it's important to be doing something. I feel like if I was given the opportunity to just make money without doing anything, I feel like after like down the line, like maybe a few years down, I would just be doing nothing and sitting on my ass all day.
Hmm. Like right
So I
now.
think, yeah, I think um, even if you might like not realize it, I think having a like work that you have to do or having a habit that you want to maintain, I think
Hmm.
that just helps like kind of like your homeostasis, whatever, but just
Yeah.
like keeping you in check.
Right, exactly. It's like also a lot of people tend to feel better about themselves or have more purpose when it's like they have some sort of responsibility. And usually that could be different things. Like maybe your responsibility is your career, as there's obviously career-driven people. Maybe
Hmm.
it's their family. Sometimes friends could be family or like considered. But just like the idea of like having a marriage or even just a partner if you don't want to get married or having kids where you have to take care of the little gremlins. Uh, I mean, there's got to be something worthwhile raising these like these gremlins, as I said. Uh, but then also like think about like a dog or something, just something to take care of, because obviously you take care of yourself because you need to. Um, Although I guess we could tackle that in a minute. Uh, but what do you think about all that? Like just this responsibility component.
Yeah, I think that's a really big component. Having a sense of responsibility for not on yourself but also for others, like wanting to serve others, make that not sound weird, but
No, yeah, I get what
like
you mean.
yeah, I think having a sense of responsibility is part of it. And then I think also maybe just a sense of accomplishment with doing
Hmm,
work, just like your own personal pride almost, where you're
right.
like, I'm working and I'm doing something that's good. And I think that makes me a better person. That's kind of like what goes on in your head, maybe. It's just like keeping this habit makes me a better person.
Right. I could think of like endless examples to that because it's like, I don't know, even in something mundane like food service, it's like, well, I made food for a customer and they're happy with it, you know, like you make their order just the way they wanted it and you know, you're literally serving up smiles. Or
Yeah.
like, you know, the meme, the classic meme of it like it ain't much, but it's honest work.
Yeah.
Um or even like the idea of volunteering, you know, like you're literally doing work for no pay. It's like I don't know if you
Yeah.
wanted to suck out all the meaning from it. It's like, what are you doing, man? But
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're
Maybe
just working.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. But maybe you take pride in like I know my mom uh helps volunteering at a place that kind of helps teach children who need extra help. And she just does that because she cares about the kids and she wants to help the cause and everything. You know, some people take pride in like social work or like the environment. Um, I don't know. I guess just overall, what I'm getting at is this feeling of doing good for either other people or maybe your what you think is right, like maybe saving the planet or something. I don't know, like just meaning in general.
Yeah, I think also, like, things like volunteer work, it can help you find meaning, like, um, maybe, like, if you before, like, volunteering for something, you might just think, "Oh, this is just work," but I feel like after
Yeah.
you do a volunteer thing or, like, you help someone out, you kind of, like you really feel like, "Oh, I did something good." Like,
Right.
this even though it might not be giving me anything, it's like I'm really helping someone or I'm helping, like, the environment or I'm doing something good. So even if it doesn't give me any reward, it kind of gives you, like, a
A
self-esteem
reward.
reward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like an intrinsic value to it.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's I don't know, that's very important, I feel. Just
mhm,
because we need direction, you know?
yeah. I feel like that's also it's kind of showing, like, the human emotion. It's showing that you are human because you care for others.
Mhm. Just very whole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you think it all kind of stems kind of back to the topic at hand with habits?
Yeah, I think, you wanna maintain these good habits because it, like, keeps that motivation going. Like,
Mhm.
that belief that you're helping others, I think if you maintain your good habits, I think that maintains that kind of mentality of, like, do things not for only for myself, but also for others.
Yeah. So what are some habits that we could like maybe that you could recommend for the class?
Um, I don't know, I think, like, um, one a good habit that I try to maintain is, like, cooking. So, I try to cook for my family, like, at least, like, a few times a week, and I think just, like, having, like, the sense of accomplishment of doing that, and then also, like, the responsibility of, like, I am making food for my family, I think that's, like, a really helpful thing to maintain.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
also think,
Oh yeah.
um, a good habit can also be just, like, spending time with others. That can be a habit that you wanna maintain, like, just hanging out with friends or hanging out with family regularly, and then just, like, maintaining those relationships. That can also be a habit that helps others.
Right, because you know, we're social creatures and
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a lot of merit to strengthening like bonds with people. It's like not only does that like prop you up with like an ally or something, but you know, there's a deeper friendship, a deeper connection. It's kind of that meaning component that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are some really good examples, Max. Um, and I guess moving forward, I'm just kind of looking at the time here, although we still got a while. Um, So obviously we could set up good habits like this, whether they are beneficial to ourselves or moving us in a higher place, or raising others or helping them get to a higher place. Like, of course, none of these are at the detriment of ourselves or others.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about this as habits. This episode's more focused on good habits, as I like to try to make the episode topics constructive. Um, but we should address the bad habits, as I said earlier. Like habits can be good, bad, or neutral. So simply, we all have bad habits, you know? Like we all
Yeah.
do bad things. We all have our vices. We all might behave in a certain way that we're not proud of or that other people are annoyed at, or maybe it's just straight up detrimental.
Yeah.
How should we address these?
Oh, so man, that's tough.
It's just one after another. It's like, hey, buddy, welcome to my show. I'm just gonna hammer you with the deep questions that you struggle on a daily or something.
I think an important thing with bad habits is to like take a step back and then look at the bigger picture. Like um for me for example, one of my worst habits is just staying up late. I'll stay up till like 2 or 3 in the morning a lot, and I feel like in the moment I just don't realize it, and I'm just like, "Oh, it's 2 a.m." But then I think something that I need to do a lot is just like take a step back and then look at, am I really using my time wisely if I'm just staying up at 3 a.m. and then waking up the next morning at 1?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to take a step back to like get a bigger picture and see, is this habit like really worth it, or like should I really try to do something different?
Right, and I feel like it also depends too, like because there would be merit if you were doing something, whether you were actually working on something and theoretically you didn't have something early the next day. Um, or you were like even just playing a game with friends, because like that's a social connection and you're you're having fun, you're enjoying your time, you're getting closer with your friends by doing so. But if you're
Yeah.
just like doing nothing, just kind of lingering and then waking up late with no plan and the next day, it's like I can kind of see what you mean. It's like, huh.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we don't realize it, like you said.
Mhm. And I think that that was a good point you made. Sometimes, like, if it's doing something productive or doing something with friends or family, maybe, then it
Mhm.
can still be fine. But I think you need to be able to differentiate when you're just like sitting on your phone, scrolling endlessly, doing nothing versus that, and then be able to
Right.
differentiate when you really need to stop that habit.
Mm-hmm. And also, like, this is obviously a habit that I mean, yeah, I face this too. But they're both like internal things, like usually just like it has to do with me and you and just me and you, or like obviously others, but like individual is what I'm getting at. Um,
Yeah.
but I guess what would be an example of like something maybe behavior around other people that might be a bad habit?
Um, I think well, I don't drink, but I know there are some
Mhm.
people who they'll like go out and drink a lot, and they'll like try to justify it, like saying, "Oh, I just do it with friends or whatever." But I think you need to like be able to call yourself out and see,
Mhm.
"Oh, this is like a bad habit," and be able to like tell yourself, "Oh, this is a bad habit. I can't keep justifying something."
Right. I mean, Max, though, you gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. And I guess when it's something like that, you have to confront yourself, as you said.
Mhm.
But in a sense that you just have to evaluate your situation. You have to evaluate everything. It's like, who are these friends that I'm doing this with? Like, are they really a good influence? Are they really good for me? Um, what are the repercussions of drinking? Like maybe my life's on the line. Like if I get in a car with one of my friends who's intoxicated, or maybe God forbid I'm in the car driving.
Yeah.
Um, or just like I do something stupid or expose myself, or again, worst case scenario, you end up having a kid in 9 months. Uh, or just like something stupid. Like nothing really goes right when you're partying drunk and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And when the cops get involved, it's like they check your blood alcohol level and it's like, oh boy. Like this is a recipe for disaster right here.
Yeah.
Um so you have to evaluate, like, why am I doing this? Maybe it
Mhm.
gets deeper, not to get all Freudian on you or something, but like why are you drinking? Why do you feel the need to? Like, because, I think about this myself because, I'm turning 19 at the time of recording. This is the 2nd of July, and I turn 19 just in like 7 days. So, like, I'm getting up there, Shiny. Uh, and, they throw comments like, oh boy, you're almost to 21. You know what that means?
Yeah.
Um, but I don't. I know I'm legally allowed to drink at that part, but I stand by this by saying I don't want to drink, like, ever. I know it's
Yeah.
like one thing to say that, and it's like, oh yeah, right, yeah, you're never gonna do that. And yeah, maybe I am just talking out of my ass, like that. That's possible too. Um, but the reason why I always tell them this reason. It's not that I'm just like one of those wusses of like, yeah, dude, drugs are bad. Like, they're bad. And it's like, why are they bad? And I was like, because it's bad. No, 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 no. I always tell them, well, yes, but I always tell them, I spend my whole life trying to pay attention. So why would I want to, like, take a supplement that literally does the opposite? So for
Yeah.
me, that's an interesting predicament. Like, I value paying attention. But I bet for most people, paying attention is kind of scary?
Yeah, I think maybe um like they'll do it because they just want to escape whatever thoughts you're having in your
Right.
mind, or just escape like whatever job you have, or whatever relationships or whatever. Something like they do it as a means of like escapism.
Yeah. And I mean, you and I can both understand the sentiment. Like, aren't there times where it's just like, I
Yeah.
really don't want to be here right now?
Mhm. Yeah.
So the sentiment's there, but I don't know. It's
I think it's also has to go back to what we said about discipline.
hmm
Like you can't just be doing the bare minimum and then just like trying to get through the day after day. But I think with habit like drinking, you have to be able to think, oh, do I want to do what's best for myself?
right. It's like, is this? But even still, that's hard because, in a sense, like drinking really is habitual. It's a habit. And, there's things such as tolerance where the more you drink, like the more you need to drink essentially to feel the same
Mhm.
buzz. Um, it's almost like you're disciplined to do the bad thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and withdrawals real, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, we're not experts of this show. It's like we're
Yeah.
not we're, we're not like gonna tell you the answer. I don't know how to fix alcoholism, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it all just comes down to like. Or wait, what were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I think it just comes down to why am I trying to escape? What's the benefit of staying like intoxicated? Because
Mhm.
I mean, I know I'm very different with this philosophy than most, but it's just like when you confront problems, when you're honest with yourself and honest with others, it always ends up fixing the problems. Like, sure, it's hard. Like, sometimes it's like literally taking a thing of wax and just like ripping it off your leg and like it just
Yeah. I think um what like an important thing is you can't just try to deal with a coping mechanism. I think you need to try to deal with the problem at hand that you're
hmm
coping with. So, like, say someone drinks to escape, like, whatever, like, bad relationship they're having.
Yeah.
I think you need to address that relationship, like, directly, like, address the problem at hand. And then I think
Right.
along with that, it'll make it easier to stop those bad habits that you're using as coping mechanisms.
And look, like it's hard. I mean, I've been in a relationship. I assume, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's hard to say things sometimes. Uh but it gets so hard if you like prolong everything, you know?
Yeah, I feel like, it's just like a snowball rolling down a hill. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger over time, and then it, like at a certain point, it'll feel like, "Oh, there's nothing I can do at this point.
Mhm.
I might as well just keep going."
Right. And then it's like you can't even notice the snowball because you're intoxicated and
Yeah,
everything's in la la land. And also I
yeah.
don't get it because it's like, "Oh, a hangover is so great," but I was watching this movie with some friends of mine. It's called The Hangover. You've probably seen it. Uh, and it's like literally they go down to Vegas in this like Mercedes, and it's like quote unquote the dream. Where I mean, Vegas is or any city at night. It's beautiful, like all the lights and everything.
Mm.
Like it's really a sight to behold. But the way the movie goes is just like as soon as they reach to Vegas, it's like they have the night of their lives, but you don't see what happens. That's kind of what the
Oh.
movie kind of unfolds. It's like what actually happened. But it just cuts to the daytime where everything's bright. And it's like I had a thought where it's like, wow, Las Vegas kind of looks lame during the day. Like it's just a city during the day is just like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, and, like, what's the point of, like, all the partying if you don't remember anything, and then you're just hungover the morning after?
Well, that's another great point, but what I was getting at specifically is like the night is great, but there will always be a day. There will always be a
Yeah.
day and always be a night. And this is kind of a metaphor of like there's always going to be great moments and bad moments. And it's like some people with good habits, kind of like what you were saying with sleep, they might go to sleep early and then wake up early in the morning's beautiful and maybe they'll go on a jog or maybe meet up with an old friend at like a cafe or something. Um, but with these people kind of living expedient lives, like, yeah, it will be the night of your life. But one, you won't remember it, like you said. And
Yeah.
two, isn't that so depressing, like waking up to that and you feel like crap and you're still
Yeah.
like weak and everything?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought you were gonna add on.
Oh, no.
What do you want to say anything? I feel like I've been
Uh,
monologuing.
no, I don't think I have anything to add to that point.
Mhm. Well, any other like points for this subject? Probably a lot to cover.
Oh. Um, yeah, I think that kinda, like, gets to what I was saying about taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. Like,
Yeah.
sure, you're gonna do all this partying, but in the bigger and, like, grand scheme of things, like, is this good for you? Or, like, are you gonna feel good tomorrow or the day after?
Mhm. And a lot of people, they just kind of throw away the idea of the future because I mean, it's scary. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and, like, especially nowadays, things are changing so fast. Like,
Right.
5 years ago, like, basically, like, there is, like, so much different, like, I don't know, everything's changing. I don't know where I'm gonna be in 5 years. 10
Hmm.
years and like 5 years, I don't know. Everything's changing so fast.
Yeah, like we had a pandemic and you and I just graduated like
Yeah.
the district that we've been in for years and well, I guess you went somewhere else actually, but like
Uh,
still
yeah.
like K through 12, right? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't college. So yeah, I don't know, but I guess with habits, habits are weird in a sense because they're it's almost like they're the consistency and the stability that we need in an ever-changing world.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing that keeps you grounded despite
Right.
all the changes that are happening. Like it keeps you in the now and it keeps you just like it keeps you going.
Yeah. It's like even the simple things like brushing your teeth every morning and night. It's like these things sometimes they're necessity. It's like you actually need to care about your hygiene. Um, but I don't know. It's just something you have to do, and you know you have to do it. And I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but after I brush my teeth, I feel a bit more like clean.
Yeah, it makes you feel good, feel refreshed for the day.
Yeah, I don't want all that crap in my mouth. Sorry for the imagery. But so this is a question I'll ask, just because we already talked about addressing bad habits.
Mhm.
Let me turn you on your head real quick, all right? How
Okay.
can we address others' bad habits?
Oh.
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 Yeah, I think um man, to when you want to address someone else's bad habits, I think it's important to be like one on one and
Yes.
then like you can't let them be distracted. I think you need to be able to have like a direct, like serious talk, like be able to sit down somewhere and then just like address them. I feel like if you try to just like casually say, "Oh, you should stop doing that," that's not really gonna have any effect. But I think you need to have to like sit down with that person and then really just seriously talk.
Mhm. Without, like, obviously giving, like, details or something, have you done that before? Have you, like, been in that situation?
Um, I have not been in like the situation of talking in person, but I have been in like the situation where someone's talking to me about like
Oh, really?
a bad habit or calling me out on a bad habit. I think, yeah, it's tough being on like the receiving end because it's like it's a wake up call.
Yeah. Do you wanna if you're comfortable, of course, do you wanna, like, explain how that kinda went? And, of course, like, you don't need to tell us the details, but just, like, kind of an overview skeleton of it.
Yeah, I mean it's like um there was like a friend that I was not being very nice to them, and I feel like just having that like sit down talk where like, hey, you need to stop doing this. And I think just yeah, I feel like having a one-on-one talk and where someone's able to call you out and then tell you, "Hey, this is not good." I feel like that can like really open your eyes.
Right. And I'm guessing from the receiving end, did you, like, realize it?
Yeah, I feel like maybe you won't realize it exactly in that moment, but maybe just like a little bit down the line, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, that was not good. That was not a
Ugh,
good thing I was doing."
yeah. Man, that's interesting. And also it's like, they're being honest with you, you're being honest with them. It's it's all about like being constructive too. Like this
Mhm.
person wouldn't they're not gonna call you out if they didn't care about you, you know?
Yeah, it's a sign that this person cares about you and they want you to do better and be a better person. They want what's best for you, and like, yeah, like they want what's best for you and for others also.
Right. And it's a hard call to make, but I mean props to that, I guess. And
Hmm.
props to you for like, I don't know, making your life a little better, making someone else's better.
Yeah.
Everybody's growing. Um, so yeah, I mean, sometimes I guess trying to think of my own experiences, although it's hard to pinpoint a few, but you usually you don't want to scare them. You don't want to come across as like hostile. Like like you're literally an asshole. I hate you.
Yeah, I think it needs to come from a place of love and a place of like caring where you want this person to make a change for themselves for the better. It
Right.
can't just be like, "Hey, I'm just gonna argue with you." I think it needs to be like, "I want what's best for you."
Right. And there's like I don't know, there's other ways like if your friends are smoking or something and they have a problem and they've even like addressed it themselves like I want to quit, but it's super difficult, dude. I don't know that from experience myself, but like I can only imagine. Um
Yeah.
but it's like sometimes it helps to simply just eliminate the supply and everything. Like purge your cigarettes in your car, in your house, in your pockets, but
Mhm.
also like separate yourself from areas that you're either prone to do it or that others are doing it around you because that'll give you ideas or maybe you'll hit theirs.
Yeah, I think I kinda, like, see that with the first point I made with, like, how I said having a buddy can help you with good habits. I think
Mhm.
having, like, friends who are bad influences, that can really exasperate your bad habits. So I think you need to be able to separate yourself from the people who are bad influences to you, and also from the environments that are bad influences to you. Like, don't go to these places where you know you're gonna start, like, doing bad things.
Yeah. That's a good point too. Like sometimes if you have to leave somebody because they are a horrible influence, it's like maybe that could be their wake up call. It's like, wait, I gotta get my shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hmm. I like that tie-in.
Mhm.
They it's weird how the friends can either they just influence behavior, whether it's good or whether it's bad.
Yeah, I think
Um, yeah,
I read, like, in psychology, we learned that, like, 90% of, like, what you do is based on what your friends and your peers are doing, or, like, something like that, but, like, there's a big influence on you of, like, who you surround yourself with.
right. It's like I don't know. In a sense, people also kind of represent you. In a sense, like the things they do, the things they like, are similar to the things you like, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Your different pool of friends, they all add to the equation of who you are.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess moving forward, we talked about we brought up the word routine earlier.
Yeah.
How does a routine kind of like differ in comparison? Like it's a different word, obviously. So what is a routine versus a habit?
Ah, I think maybe a routine could be, like, a string of habits, like, things that you do, like, in a cycle almost, I
Hmm.
would say. Like, a routine might be, like, a combination of habits almost.
I was thinking that too. Like I didn't look up the definition prior to recording, but like usually I try to keep these episodes pretty like interpretive.
Mhm.
Um, more food for thought than like educational.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that is kind of right because like a habits kind of come from instinctual behaviors, you know?
Yeah, it's just like I have a feeling to want to do this, and I'm just gonna do it.
Right, like the feeling of uh I don't know, like the need to love somebody. So your habits are accordingly to like if there's somebody you like, you might have certain habits that are geared towards that, or the necessity for hygiene, so you'll brush your teeth, or
Yeah.
maybe you smell, so your habit is to take a shower after you go to the climbing gym or something. Uh, those places are filthy.
Yeah, they stink.
Yeah. But yeah, I almost usually when I think of routine, it's like I almost think of like a plan instead of just a habit. What about you?
Yeah, I think a routine can also just be like the culmination of all the things you do, and then they can kind of like tie in together. Like your bad habits can like string into more bad habits and make a routine of bad habits.
Hmm.
Or if you do something good, like say volunteering or like helping out your family, it kind of like gives you a stepping point to do more good things for others. And it can make a
Right.
routine of good habits.
It's like things that are consistent that you do often, like how you make dinner, like maybe three
Mhm.
times a week or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I just wanted to address that point because it's interesting how these words, like, they might seem like they're the same, but they're probably very different.
Yeah. You have to like look deeper in and then find like the real meaning.
Yeah. And I guess it's kind of like the theme here too. It's like, why are we doing the things we do?
Yeah. I
You ever
think
just like think about that?
yeah, I mean that's a I think about that a lot, like, why am I doing this? Like, sometimes is there, like, a real meaning behind what I'm doing? And I feel like that can also help me find motivation behind the things that I'm doing, the habits that I'm making. Like,
Right.
"Oh, I'm not just doing this, but I'm doing this to help others."
Hmm. No, yeah. I mean, certainly this show has been like, I don't know, kind of like, why am I doing this? And then I have
Mhm.
to kind of reinforce, like, well, I like the intrinsic value of talking about these things with different guests. And sometimes it's kind of funny because the episodes themselves actually end up helping the guest I bring on here.
Yeah, I can feel that. I feel like just this episode has, it's helped me. I feel like just like take a step back and realize, oh, what are these habits that I have and are they good?
Right. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for this to be a therapy session, but open up your deepest insecurities, Max, for the world to see. But yeah, I don't know. I like maybe that's a habit of mine of just I like looking inward. I like thinking about who I am, what I'm doing, and I don't know. Sometimes it is something that just your habits are affected by your mind, but sometimes it's like your mind is
Yeah, your
like
mind can be
affected by
affected
your
by your
habits.
habits.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think especially with bad habits, your mind kind of gets shaped around them and just like, hey, it's fine. I'm fine. This is fine. But then
Right.
really, if you take a step back, it's not really always fine.
Yeah, and think about that too. Like, it's not it's probably deeper than that, you know? Like, not only is your mind shapen by your habits, like, let's say you keep like, you hit a blunt of marijuana every day or,
Mm.
like, consistently, and it's like, I don't know, your eyes are all red and you're all like I don't even know, you know the types. Uh,
Yeah, it can mess
um,
you up.
right, and it's not that it just, like, affects your mind or something, but it's like your entire worldview can also be shifted, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I guess what I'm getting at is maybe or let's back to the drinking. It's like if you're using this as a coping mechanism because you don't want to face the real problems in your world, this shapes your worldview of basically your perceptual reality is I don't want to take any responsibility. I
Mhm.
don't want to I just want to be told what to do. And maybe you'll act in accordance to this new world order that you created for yourself. And maybe that's not necessarily true or true for you, but you almost because it's perceptual, it's not exactly objective reality, but you created objective reality from your perceptions. Mind blown.
I think, um, also, if you use something as a coping mechanism for everything in your life, it can make you think like anything that bad that happens in your life, oh, I can just solve this by going to this vice, like drinking or smoking or whatever, and then just
Mhm,
everything in my life can be solved with this. And then it can make you not want to handle it, problems head on.
mhm. I mean, why bother, right? You can just
Yeah.
cheat code. That game genie, that action replay.
Oh.
Just
Uh,
I don't know, you beat the game. But even that, it's like when you put a cheat code in the game, or like I've seen people, every person I've seen play Cookie Clickers, the game where you just click a cookie to get more cookies, to buy things to make more cookies for you automatically. Like every single person I've seen play that game always hacks it to give them infinite cookies.
And, don't do cookies, man.
Well, it's like when you
It's
hack
not
the
good.
game, then there's no more game to play. I mean, it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
different than smoking because, like, it's more of just like putting things off and having to deal with them later instead of just like breaking the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People can't rely on you when you do that. People can't, like,
Mhm.
I don't know. There's no fun to be had. There's no meaning because you're stuck in this world. But even though living in the present's fun and all, like, we'd
Mhm.
feel lost.
Yeah, I feel like if you're always living in the present, you're not really going anywhere.
Right.
Because if you're not looking towards the future, you can't move forward.
Future.
Future.
Future. Yeah, where everything's Chrome. Or honestly, everything's Google Chrome at this point. But that's for a topic for another day.
Oh.
Um, no, I'm not doing that. But so anyway, back on topic here. Um, my screen went black and that scared me for a minute, but
Oh.
I think we're still here.
All right.
So Max, what's the we're at the end here. So what's the big takeaway? What do you want to leave everyone with? Of-
Ah, I think I think you need to it's good to keep habits going, but the most important thing is that you have a motivation behind your habits. That you realize, oh, this thing that I'm doing, it's good. Or this bad habit that I have, I need to realize, hey, if I want to do something good for myself, I need to stop this. I think being able to take note of that motivation that you have, whether it's for yourself, for others, I think that's the most important thing with habits.
Mhm. Well said. And with that said, thanks so much for joining me, Max.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. This was a great talk, and we got weirdly. I mean, I always manage to do this. I always just like, what good habits? All right, sounds like a simple topic, and then I'm like, perceptual reality creates objective.
Whoa.
It's just like the galaxy brain, like Rick and Morty, 1000 IQ. They're just.
Uh,
But anyway, thanks everybody so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.